3 more episodes of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man have dropped, and the peak has continued. These 3 episodes are probably the best of the bunch so far, in my opinion. We got Scorpion, Daredevil, Doc Ock, Iron Man even showed up. More character building moments for Norman. Is he secretly evil? Is Lonnie gonna turn away from the gang? The 3 episodes gave us all these things and more. This show is quickly becoming one of the greatest Spider-Man cartoons ever made. First thing I gotta talk about is Daredevil vs. Spider-Man. Not only is it animated beautifully with great coloring, but you also hear the Daredevil Netflix music playing in the midst of the fight. It's so freaking peak. Charlie Cox also voice acts Daredevil, and in my opinion, he did a phenomenal job again. Daredevil is stealing info from the Oscorp because he believes Norman Osborn is evil. Spidey doesn't listen, so he tries to fight back against Daredevil, but Daredevil knocks him out cold. It was cold. This is our first clue that Norman Osborn is evil, or at least not what he seems to be. Norman tells Peter Daredevil must have worked for Otto, but I don't believe this. All the people Otto outfitted with upgrades had a lot of tech upgrades. Daredevil, however, was fighting with his hands in a billy club. It just isn't adding up. It seems as though Norman has a vendetta against Otto. I'd go even further and say that I believe Norman only wanted Spider-Man on his payroll so that he could catch Otto. There's a few hints to this as well throughout the story. For starters, in the midst of Spider-Man fighting Scorpion, Norman takes off his comm headset so he can focus on locating Dr. Octopus. But this is in the midst of Spider-Man fighting Scorpion. He literally gets impaled and almost dies through this. Osborn is alerted that Spider-Man needs emergency aid, so he sends emergency aid. What does he send? Osborn sends a freaking glider to pick up Spider-Man when Spider-Man almost died to the Scorpion. Why does Norman have this glider if he's a regular, old, good guy? This guy is clearly evil. I was originally thinking that they weren't going to do the Green Goblin. I know everybody expects the Green Goblin, but we've had so many Norman Osborns as the Green Goblin. I figured they were going to switch it up. A lot of stuff in this show has switched it up already. In this show so far, Norman Osborn has stood in place for Iron Man several times. So I figured that they would do the Iron Patriot Norman Osborn storyline from the comics, especially because Norman Osborn also talks about how he wants to have his own superheroes to help protect the world. I believe that was in episode 3 or 4. But as you can see, this is set up so in my eyes that Norman Osborn was going to be the leader of the Dark Avengers. But if you're going to have a glider, it's pretty obvious that this is indicative that the Goblin is coming. Either way, I don't trust this Norman Osborn, which is how you know he was so well written. We hinted at it a little bit, but I can't just hint at it. We gotta actually talk about it. Scorpion was also done so well. Matt Gargan goes and gets outfitted by Doc Ock to become the Scorpion. He invades Lonnie's gang's hideout and starts bodying everyone. He nearly kills Lonnie before Spider-Man jumps in and saves him. Scorpion and Spider-Man have a good bout. Spidey webs him up and he thinks it's over. Scorpion then starts to overheat and he breaks free. This is when Scorpion manages to stab Spider-Man and nearly kill him. If not for that glider we had talked about, Spider-Man would be dead. Overall, Scorpion vs. Spider-Man was awesome. This is the literal dark mirror fight. You have the good, hopeful arachnid versus the evil dark arachnid. The animation again looked great, and it actually gets hella serious too. People are shooting guns at Scorpion, and not like blasters from the 90s show or laser guns from Spectacular Spider-Man. These are real guns, assault rifles, pistols. There's even a sawed-off shotgun shown. Never have I thought that I would see this in a Spider-Man cartoon before. Pretty sick, I'm not gonna lie. Scorpion looked great too. I feel like the overheating armor plate thing will eventually be about how Matt Gargan can't remove the suit. I at least hope it becomes that, because that's very integral to the character, is that he can never remove the suit. He's supposed to be a tragically flawed character, and then he's just supposed to be depressingly tragically flawed because now he's stuck in this suit. So I really hope they add that part in, because it makes it just so peak Scorpion. All in all though, I was ecstatic to see Scorpion in this show. Speaking of Scorpion and his battle against Lonnie, let's talk about Lonnie a little bit. This man is gone. The Lonnie we knew in episodes 1 and 2 is long gone. Lonnie is kicked off the football team now. He breaks up with Pearl, and he really just dives full head into this gang shit. When the gang leader Don was about to die to Scorpion's hand again, Lonnie stepped up again to save him, and he almost got himself killed in the process. Lonnie also tells off his brother and storms out of his house when he talks about gangs. He constantly has to lie to his parents about it as well. Pearl nearly got caught up in the crossfire in the gang's hideout, and Lonnie still did not quit. The last straw is when Chameleon meets with the gang. He tells them about Doc Ock's location, right? The gang is trying to get outfitted with their own upgrades. The leader, Don, tries to get everyone excited about this, but no one really cares. They're a little shaken up after the Scorpion hit them. But Lonnie joins in, he steps in, he's like, yo, we're gonna get our licks back, and then everybody in the gang joins in. This tells me that I believe that Lonnie is going to be the leader of this gang, probably before the end of season 1 even ends. And I'd bet he gets his powers and becomes albino from the hands of Doc Ock. This character fell into the criminal life so fast. Truly tragic. Speaking of Chameleon, I just want to say this man looks amazing. I actually think Chameleon's one of my least favorite Spider-Man villains ever. But in this show, I thought he looked good. I thought he looked great. He's got that drip. Are you serious? And he's also pretty funny too. The gang was telling him about how a dude showed up in Scorpion armor and attacked them, and Chameleon literally says, I don't care. That shit fried me. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Chameleon then points out where Doc Ock's lair is, and we're gonna talk about Doc Ock now. Doc Ock was amazing in this batch of episodes. We saw him in the last batch of episodes for the first time, but he's easily my favorite character in the show as of right now. Doc Ock is like talking to his assistant. He's like playing video games on his computer, using an exploit to level up his XP. He's got like a Discord kitten cat. Like, he's just a goober. The SWAT team goes to invade him, and Doc Ock, being Doc Ock, is, well, ready for everything. His machines are just taking the lead. They just start whipping the police down. Arms come flying out. Electricity shooting around. And Doc Ock's just walking through the room while jazz music's playing in the background with this strut. This Doc Ock is literally rising up my list of Doc Ock adaptations on a meteoric rate. This guy just freaking rocks. I love everything they did with Doc Ock. And the only way he gets captured is because freaking Iron Man shows up and apprehends him. Shoutouts to Josh Keaton, the GOAT Spider-Man voice actor, who now does a solid amount of Iron Man voice acting too. We will always love you, buddy. Last few things we're going to talk about, okay? I want to talk about Nico and Harry's dynamic. It was great to watch them grow throughout the episodes. They started off rocky because Nico had these preconceived notions about who Harry is. Then they get better until Harry reveals that Peter is Spider-Man, causing Nico to, again, trust neither of them. Harry then goes out of his way and takes the extra mile to make it up to Nico. He spends an entire day with her, he gets her food, lets her drive his car, like he's just trying to make amends, and Nico does apologize as well. Nico apologizes for her preconceived notions against Harry because he's not exactly a bad guy. I thought this was really nice because in my last video I was talking about how Nico's really just mad at Harry when he hasn't actually done anything inherently to her. So I'm glad that she's willing to own up and be like, yeah, my bad for being mad at you when you haven't actually done anything. Glad that was the thing. Gotta talk about Spider-Man. These episodes show us more about Peter and May's relationship, and their dynamic is perfect. They're a team of two who always look out for each other no matter what. We also see that Spider-Man himself is a man who wants to protect the people through and through. He loses his fight to Scorpion, and it takes a massive mental toll on him. He feels that spider guilt. People could have died because he failed. That's exactly how Spider-Man should feel. This is the Spider-Man thought process and Spider-Man heart. This Peter Parker Spider-Man is great. And then to end the episode, Harry Osborn actually worked with some of the people at Oscorp using some of Peter's designs to make an amazing Spider-Man suit, like the actual one. We're not going to see it till the next episode, but I'm so stoked. All right, the very, very, very last thing we're going to talk about. Okay, I promise, last thing. The very last thing we're going to talk about is probably the only negative I have for this week's episode outside of the lack of MJ. Because I want my Mary Jane in the show. I don't like when too many people know about Spider-Man's secret. If other characters who appear on screen know Peter Parker is Spider-Man, it's not a secret. Norman knows, Harry knows, and now Nico knows. 3 people know that he's Spider-Man alone in the first season. That's a lot. Nico finding out probably is the one that bothers me the most. It feels like it's just adding tension for such a contrived reason. I personally just can't imagine Harry wouldn't have clarified with Peter who knows that Peter is Spider-Man. On top of that, I feel like if someone else was to learn Peter is Spidey, it should have been Lonnie. In the final episode, Peter confronts Lonnie about going back to the gang, and Peter literally begs him not to go. Lonnie tells him he needs to do what's right for his family and to stay out of his way. To me, this would have been a good time for Peter to reveal that he's Spider-Man in a heroic way. We almost never see Peter revealing he's Spider-Man in a heroic way. The only time I can think of in any storyline ever is to J. Jonah Jameson, when he's just like, you don't have to stress anymore. Look, I'm Spidey, man. We're in this together. That was very heroic of him. And there's also that 90s story where he reveals he's Spider-Man to the little kid with terminal cancer. But it doesn't happen often. He doesn't do it to change people's lives and make them better people. And I wish he did more so instead of it just being another pitfall in the story. If Peter said something along the lines of, I didn't go into that building to save your life yesterday just so you could throw it away again today. Something along those lines, telling him you can be a better person and I shouldn't be going out there saving people who choose to not be better people. This way it can show Lonnie that there's people out there who care about him and are looking out for him and want him to be a better person. He's not alone. And I know I just said I don't like when multiple people know Peter Parker's secret identity. But at the same vein, if they were going to have a third person find out, I'd rather it have been Lonnie in a heroic way to try and steer him away from the gang Then Nico, when in like a way that portrays Peter like an asshole, when he really was just trying to protect her. All in all, these episodes freaking banged. From Daredevil to Doc Ock to Scorpion to Chameleon. We got so much freaking stuff in these episodes. The OG suits in the next episode? I can't wait. I really can't. Next week is going to be the final batch of episodes, so check back for the final review then. Obviously, I'm going to make a video about it, talking about it. Probably talk about the entirety of the series as well. Maybe do some more with it. But next week's the last one. I'm so stoked for the last 2 episodes. I hope you guys are too. That's going to be about it for me in this video. I'm so grateful for you all for watching. Make sure you hit a like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Discord in the description, as well as the Patreon, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Dunk out.